Back again, Pavy Daily Takes. I don't know if you guys watched the if you're listening to this and you watched our stream earlier, we did the call in episode. First of all, shout out everybody who called in. Really appreciate you guys. We had like over 50 calls. I did not expect that many calls. I thought we probably have like maybe like 10. We literally had like over 50 calls this morning. Like you guys kept trying to get through. Like that's love. We appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you so much. But getting into it, I want to talk about Dame Lillard, and the fact that if I had to pick like a sleeper pick for MVP, I'm gonna pick Dame Lillard. Reason being is I think that with how much better the West has gotten. I mean, West was already tough, but with just how much better the West have gotten, I think people forget about the Blazers, and I think people honestly forget about the Blazers every single year. Like I think that every year there's some new team, and every year people kind of like, I don't want to say right off the Blazers, but kind of like right off the Blazers, or they're like an afterthought every single year, and I think it's unfair to the work that the Blazers do every single year. Like the Blazers have been a consistent 50-win team for the last. Let me look it up real quick, but I'm pretty sure it's the last what they won 53 games last season. Year before 49, basically 50. Year before 41 and 41, year before 44, but the year before that 50 wins, the year before that 50 wins. But basically what I'm getting at is they've been a playoff team at least for the past, since 2015, 2016. Honestly, they've been a playoff team pretty much this entire decade, really. Yeah, they've been pretty much a playoff team this entire decade for the most part, except for earlier on in the decade. Yeah, I mean, I understand they got swept, 2 years ago in the first round, but that first round series was just, for one, the worst possible matchup they could have had in that first round, and also 2 of those games could have been won by either team. I think it was game 2 and game 4 that were pretty close games that could have been won by either team. Last year they get to the conference finals, they get swept again, but they were up 17 3 straight times. Everybody looks at the fact that they got swept. I look at the fact that they probably had their third best player who was out. Rodney Hood got banged up. Dame Lillard separated rib, and they still managed. Even CJ was fine, but he still got hurt at the end of the season, coming off injury. And they still, even with all that, managed to take the Warriors and get 3 straight 17-point leads on them. Now, granted, couldn't close out any of the games, but still, everybody looked at the fact they got swept. I looked at the fact they were up 17 3 straight times, and that's also why I didn't pick the Warriors to win the finals no matter who they played, because everybody looked at the fact that they came from down, but I look at the fact that, you were down 17. That's not an effective strategy to winning basketball games. But, again, I think that they get overlooked pretty much every single year, and I think that, if you just, on paper, look at the roster that they have, look, they have Dame, CJ, Kent Bazemore, who I think can help. Whiteside, Scal BCR, who he was a McDonald's All-American. Scal can hoop. I thought that Scal would be a little bit better. Excuse me. Thought Scal would be a little bit better after his first year in Sacramento, but he never really panned out in Sacramento. Also, they just have a lot of bigs in Sacramento as well. But Scal can play. You add that with Zach Collins, Anthony Simmons, who looked great in Summer League. Obviously he's not gonna be out there dropping 25 like he was in Summer League, but he looks like he can play. He was a rookie last year, born in 1999. I think he actually came out of high school. He went to some academy where technically he was a year removed from his high school graduating class, which allowed him to basically come straight into the draft from high school. Nurk, who won't play for most of the year, but he was up and walking even as soon as the playoffs. So I don't know how far along his recovery is, but I'm assuming it's going well. A broken leg isn't like a torn ligament. Once you break it, that's kind of it. I don't think you're gonna break the leg the exact same way he broke it again. So Nurk is coming back. Gary Trent Jr., he can play. I think he was actually the number 1 ranked point guard coming out of high school, went to Duke, but it just didn't pretty much go right for him. Nasir Little, who again, I think he's I think he was brought in and kind of like combat Draymond a little bit. I think he can be that type of player for Portland moving forward. Anthony Tolliver, he can knock down. Mario Hezonja, he can shoot. And Rodney Hood, who, again, I told you guys in the playoffs, I think Rodney Hood was going to be like a key player for them, and he was. Rodney Hood can play basketball. Now, he had his ups and downs with Cleveland, but when LeBron left, again, I watched a lot of Cleveland Cavaliers basketball. Rodney Hood was nice. Rodney Hood could play basketball. So, I like Rodney. And I think they have a very, very good balanced roster. And again, I think Whiteside getting away from Miami where there's, so much to do. You're coming to Portland, and it's also a contract year. I'm sure he wants some more money. So I think he'll be motivated to come out and play basketball. But even still, like, as much as people talk about Whiteside not being motivated, he's still pretty much, look, a couple years ago, he was averaging, 3.7 blocks? I mean, he still basically gave you 2 blocks a night last year, and that was in 23 minutes. If you escalate that and assume that he plays 30 minutes, that's 2.9 blocks a game. So, look, I think that getting away from Miami will be good for him. I think that, coming to Portland where there's really nothing else to do besides play basketball. Like, it's not too much trouble you can get into in Portland. Honestly, there's nothing like too much to do. I don't think. I haven't been, but from all accounts and purposes, I don't think that, there's not a Miami level of things to do in Portland. So I think all that said, I think Dame was top 3 in MVP voting a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think that he can replicate that, man. I think that he has a real chance to come out here and, average like 28 and 7. When he averaged 25 and 7 last year. I think he has a real chance to get those averages up to about, maybe let's say 28 points, like I said, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and, throw his name in the MVP conversation. Like, you got to think, like, what if the Blazers finish second in the West, which is very, like, doable. I mean, I think, PG is missing some games, so I think the Clippers, I don't think they have a rocky start, but, PG is missing some games. Also, I think the Clippers still do have weaknesses. You got the Lakers, like they still have question marks. I think the Lakers will be very good, but I don't know if they'll have a better record than Portland in the regular season, just because of the fact, like, I don't know if you want to, go out there and play LeBron 82 games. Anthony Davis, Boogie's working himself back, so I think that they'll have a better record than them in the regular season. And then there's the Rockets, like I know Daryl Morey said that they plan to not necessarily load manage, but that they plan to monitor their players' minutes. So, I mean, I think the Rockets could very well win the West, but I think that if the Rockets were to win the West, I think Harden and Russ would probably cancel each other out. And then when you look at MVP voting, I mean, Dame, I think Giannis is going to be there, obviously. I think Harden's going to be there. I think Steph is probably going to end up being there as well. But, again, like if Dame could come out and win 53 games, well, if the Blazers can come out and win 53 games in this Western Conference, I think Dame has a real chance to, put his name in the MVP conversation, especially when you consider the fact of how Dame ended last season. Like, I mean, again, everybody's going to look at the fact they got swept. Like, yeah, Twitter loves to do that. They love to, criticize Dame for that. But if you look at what Dame did in the first round in the Thunder series, I don't think any player at all, besides maybe Kawhi with the shot that he hit, had a bigger moment than Dame Lillard. And I don't even think Kawhi's shot was the same as Dame's. See, like, Dame's shot is a top 10. Honestly, if we just consider, like, the shot, the degree of difficulty, top 5 shot in the history of basketball. In the history of basketball. Like, I don't think anybody has ever seen a shot like that to end the series. Same with, Kawhi. I don't know if you've seen a shot that bounced around the rim like that. But as far as, like, distance and just what that shot did, I think that, that shot alone raised Dame's profile, to a completely different level. Dame just dropped an album. I think that it's just time for Dame. He's approaching that 30-year-old mark. He's 28 right now, be 29 next season, approaching that 30-year-old mark. Again, he just got, the big Supermax deal from Portland. And again, man, I just think it's just that time for Dame now. I think it's time for Dame to just go to that next level. And I think really for him, that next level is just MVP. Like, he's past the All-Star level. Like, he's been a consistent All-Star at this point. Even the years when he wasn't an All-Star, he should have been. Kobe just took his spot. But he's at this point, like, it's time for Dame. I think that Dame is getting close to being the best Blazer in history. I mean, honestly, I think you got to put Bill Walton up there, Clyde Drexler up there, but I think Dame's getting close to that. Honestly, I'm putting Dame over Clyde. The reason being is Dame never played with the help that Clyde played with. Buck Williams was hard. Jerome Kersey had some All-Star appearances. Terry Porter had some All-Star appearances. Dame not playing with that. Dame playing on a team where he's the only All-Star. That's something that Clyde never had at least when they had their most success, that's something that Clyde never had to deal with. Dame is out there a lone ranger. I don't want to say a lone ranger because CJ plays at an all-star level, but he's never been named to an all-star team. But Dame is pretty much the lone superstar on his team, as opposed to where Clyde always had 2-3 guys with him for the most part when he experienced success. So I think you got to put Bill Walton number one. Obviously, he won an MVP and got the Blazers a ring and got him to another. Well, he got the Blazers a ring over the Sixers. Honestly, like the fact that Dr. J yam Bill Walton and that's like the highlight that we remember from that series makes me forget that they didn't actually win that series. But he got him a ring, so I think you got to put Bill Walton number one, and I'm putting Dame too. But I think he can catch Bill Walton if he can get to an MVP. And look, man, I think honestly, as long as the Blazers can stay away from like the Lakers and Clippers. Probably honestly more so I'm trying to think which LA team would give them more trouble. Probably the Clippers more so than the Lakers, because I think that really either LA team, bro, because both LA teams have perimeter defense. It's not like the Clippers, like the Lakers can't guard on the perimeter. You got Avery Bradley, you got, KCP, you got Danny Green, and then with the Clippers, you got Kawhi, you got Paul George, you got Patrick Beverly. So either way, you have elite defenders on the wing. So I think if they could just stay away from the LA teams, I think they can have a really, really good shot at it, man. Like they can have a shot to get to the finals. Again, same thing I said last year when I said the Blazers for the conference finals. I told you, I wouldn't pick them to go. But if they made it there, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't pick the Blazers to go to the finals. But if they made it there, I would not be surprised. And yeah, Dame for MVP, man. I think he has a real shot at it, bro. Like, I think some of these guys like AD and, Braun might cancel each other out. I think Russ and Harden might cancel each other out. PG and Kawhi might cancel each other out. And when you do that, I think the guys you got to look at are guys like, I know one of our callers called in and said Kawhi. Not Kawhi, but Kyrie. I can agree with that. Kyrie, Giannis, Steph, Dame, those type of guys. So, yeah, man, like really, I think it's Dame's year. I think that at least on paper, I think that the Blazers improved themselves from last year. I think that they have just a little bit more scoring than what they had last year. I think that Bazemore is good for a 15-point game. I think Rodney Hood's good for a 15-point game. I think Hezonja is good for a 15-point game. I think even Anthony Tolliver is good for 2 threes in a game, two or three big threes in a game. I think that last year I think they really only had Steph. Well, Seth is a shooter. I think the Seth loss hurts a little bit. Like they did lose a shooter with Seth. And he's also a pretty good defender. But as far as like scorers, I feel like the only streaky scorer that they had was Rodney Hood. I think that now adding Kent Bazemore, adding to Rodney Hood, even adding to Mario Hezonja gives them 2 other streaky scorers that on any given night can give you, 12 to 15 points, but do it by creating their own shot. So I think that, this will be a good year for them. But again, I do think that the Seth loss hurts, especially when you play against the Warriors, and you need somebody to guard Steph. I think that throughout the Blazers-Warriors series, actually Seth did the best job on Steph. Man, look, hopefully, Nurk can, get his leg right, get back to 100%, get back to playing like the player he was playing before that, with the player he was playing like before that gruesome injury. And man, I'm looking for the Blazers to come out and do some things this year. And again, man, Dame is my sleeper for MVP. And Pavy's Daily Takes.